Hello everybody, Larry Young here again with another segment of OLaMan Living Life with Purity. And as we're kind of coming to the end of the year and the news stories are coming upon us out of the politics around us, the events, the scandals, the fraud, the theft, the egregious behavior of so many things around us. I hate to pile on, but here we just got more bad news today. So I want to talk about garbage in and garbage out. And the garbage out took place in the Archdiocese of New York this past couple weeks with the dismissing now of Timothy Dolan. And so Dolan has been the head guy there for, I don't know, 15, maybe 20 years. I don't know what it is. Too long, if you ask me. He came out of Milwaukee, where he did some terrible things there, got promoted upward to one of the top jobs in the world, if you ask anyone that wears a red hat, to be the Cardinal of New York. It's a politician's job. They've kind of given up on the role of being a really good fostering priest for the sake of politics. Now, I know he comes out with his statements and all like that. It's all flowery and all like that. But what you say is one thing. What you do is reality. And if you look back on what he did, and we will be doing that, we're going to go back over this guy's career and maybe dampen some of the bright lights that some of the Catholics want to put on him to make him into this star, if you will. But what has happened in the meantime, when Dolan was sat down, they brought in a guy by the name of Ronald Hicks out of Joliet, Illinois. Now, Ronald Hicks, don't know enough about him yet, but we're doing our research on him, and some of our friends are beginning to talk a bit more about some of the background on this guy that know him, and grew up with him through the ranks. But today, we want to talk about like the garbage in, garbage out. Dolan's going out, and what are they bringing in? Well, it doesn't look like a sanitary situation. This looks like more garbage coming in, and let me tell you why. In 2021, Bishop Hicks announced a man by the name of David Salvato would be his new chancellor for the Diocese of Joliet. And here is his statement at that time. He said, "As chancellor, Salvato will advise Bishop Hicks and diocesan officials on issues related to canon law. He will also record the ecclesiastical acts, decrees, and dispensations issued by Bishop Hicks, as well as oversee the diocesan archives." In other words, he was going to be the guy that was going to dictate what history was going to determine and carry forward. He was going to be the historical record. What he was saying is what they were going to consider as being the record of truth. So Salvato, previous to that, had worked since 2011 as a canon lawyer for the Metropolitan Tribunal of the Archdiocese of Los Angeles. In that role, he led 2 teams that oversaw the investigation of nearly 200 marriage annulment cases each year. Now, that alone sounds really underscored, but it also tells a tale of about how important annulments are to members of the Los Angeles Diocese, one of the largest dioceses in the world as far as numbers go. But only 200 pleadings for annulments each year. That means that the Catholics there didn't regard the need for an annulment to be that great. They don't cherish it. They don't understand it. They don't appreciate it. You would think that there would be at least 1,000 cases a year. Not the situation. So it means there was a lack of discussion about the merits of these topics within the population of the believers there. He also taught at St. John's Seminary in Camarillo, California, as an adjunct professor. worked as an English translator for L'Osservatore Romano, the daily newspaper of the Vatican City State, and served as the director of the Marriage and Family Life program at St. Thomas More Catholic Church in Centennial, Colorado. So this guy was getting around. He was collecting a lot of paychecks from different sources. Nothing wrong with that, to have a side hustle, but they're all pointing towards something: credibility. Salvato holds a doctorate in canon law from the Pontifical University of St. Thomas Aquinas Angelicum in Rome, where he also obtained bachelor's degrees in theology and philosophy. He also earned a bachelor's degree in communications from the University of San Diego. Now, we got a guy who's been much of his life a professional student in one particular targeted area, that being canon law, the Catholic Church, and the situations dealing with marriage and the prominence of that in the Catholic faith. Now, I'm quoting here from another website here, a reporter, and I thank them for this because this is the kind of balls we need out here in our reporting. This week, we learned from a reliable source within the diocese that Salvato went missing from his diocesan job several weeks ago. Not a couple weeks, several weeks. So this guy's been missing in action for some time, previous to, obviously, from the time Hicks was anointed and appointed to be the next Cardinal in New York. So there was a gap that is unexplained. The source further informed us that Salvato was married to his partner. Wonderful. Jacob Aguilar. So he marries a dude and named Jacob in Naperville, Illinois, about 45 minutes or so from Joliet. The couple had a wedding registry on The Knot, which is a website for people getting married and want to have, their pots and pans and all that shit picked out for them and given to them by their friends and family. The website or the registry on The Knot is no longer active, but the one on Bloomingdale's is. So if you want to give this couple, a nice wedding gift, you could still find them on Bloomingdale's. Look for David Salvato and Jacob Aguilar, and give them, some nice, coasters or something like that. So you do whatever you want. I'm going to go throw up after I get done with this. But this situation brings up several questions and regarding this whole situation. So you bring in David Salvato, a guy who's obviously credentialed in many ways as chancellor of your diocese. A very, very important position in the diocese as the chief records keeper and determiner of history within the diocese. He'll be the first run of what the narrative is. So they've got this guy in there. He marries a dude, a man, by the name of Jacob Aguilar, under the nose of Ronald Hicks. Now, did Hicks know he was gay and screwing around with men? If he did, when did he know? And why didn't he do something? Or did he do something? If he did know, why did he hire him? And if he found out afterward, why didn't he fire him? Or why didn't he give them heavy counseling to say, hey, stop this shit. This isn't right. You don't do this. If he did counsel him, then his words and his direction fell on deaf ears. So if he wasn't being respected as the bishop and the boss of this man, is he up for the job in New York? If he doesn't have enough charisma to shut down one gay guy with a high administrative job in his administration, if he can't contain that, he's not going to have a chance in New York. Maybe this is what they want. I don't know. Did Hicks tell Salvato to leave or not? Or did Salvato just say, I got to get ready to get married. I got to take some time off. You know, it's my job. I'll do whatever I want. I'm in power. This is how I think it probably went. He probably thought no one would care and it's nobody's business, and here he goes. So with all this coming on and known and in the public, you know, you can't hide public records. You can't hide these registries for these things. And if this is an open wound out there, why isn't Hicks, the new cardinal in New York, out in front of this and using it as a teaching moment and trying to provide clarity? Because I firmly believe what they're doing is the old playbook of hide, divide, deny, and then gaslight. You know, you don't admit to anything. This is why the church will not police itself, and they don't. And we've been warned about this for over 100 years. Our Lady talked about it at Fatima. She talked about it at Our Lady of America in Rome City. She talked about it at Garabandal. But still, the deafening silence of the speaking points coming out of the great men leading the church. Now, I have nothing wrong with the faith. The faith is wonderful. The faith is pure. The faith is exact. The church and its administration and the enterprise that it's become is the problem. And it needs to be stopped. We need to correct it. They're not going to do it. You have to do it. I have to do it. All these other people have to do it. If we don't, game over. So the last thing I have to ask in this whole thing, because of the hubris of this David Salvato, as I see it, by his actions and not by his words, because I haven't seen a statement from him as of yet, but by his actions, I see a lot of hubris, a lot of who's going to stop me. Ronald Hicks obviously didn't stop him. So I have to ask, was it actually a Catholic wedding observed by an actual Catholic priest in an actual Catholic church? I've got a weird crap that's going on, and the behavior that was already put out here, I think it probably very possibly happened. What kind of a job is Ronald Hicks going to do when he gets to New York? Him and Mamdani? We'll see. In the meantime, I love you, and I'll be back.